The League of Women Voters is nonpartisan. However, we are political. We hold general policies, a system of program planning, and we take positions. This Jackson Area League of Women Voters education module will discuss the positions of the state and local League of Women Voters. Through a process of study and consensus, members of the League of Women Voters of Michigan and our local league take positions on public policy issues. While the league never supports or opposes candidates for office or political parties, we do lobby our elected officials to advance these positions. The following is a summary of the league's state positions. For information about national positions, see the League of Women Voters of the United States website. The League of Women Voters supports several government-based positions, including the following. The League of Women Voters Michigan supports the formation of an independent redistricting commission in lieu of the legislature as the primary redistricting body. Such a commission should afford equal representation to the major parties and provide for independent and diverse representation. This commission should be established through legislation and/or constitutional amendment. The League believes that democratic government depends upon informed and active participation at all levels of government, and that government bodies must protect the citizens' right to know by giving adequate notice of proposed action, providing printed documents in a timely manner, and publishing written records of actions taken. The League also believes that holding open meetings and hearings on pending legislation should be required during both regular legislative sessions and lame duck sessions, which happen after the November election and last until the legislature adjourns in even-numbered years. League of Women Voters Michigan supports uniform ease and accessibility of voting with assurance of accuracy, security, and voter privacy, fair and uniform party regulation, open primaries and a regional presidential primary, local officials having primary authority for elections, the principle of initiative, referendum, and recall, nonpartisan merit appointment and the subsequent retention election of appellate judges, and nonpartisan election of judges for local courts, and public funding for judicial election campaigns. League of Women Voters Michigan supports measures to allow flexibility in solving regional problems and to encourage orderly growth and efficient government. Such measures should include cooperation, coordination, and long-range planning. League of Women Voters Michigan supports the development of a state-local tax structure which is adequate, equitable, flexible, and moderately progressive. League of Women Voters Michigan supports measures to ensure revenues that are both sufficient and flexible to meet changing needs for state and local government services. The League of Women Voters Michigan takes several positions revolving around natural resources, including supporting, preserving, and enhancing the environmental integrity of the Great Lakes St. Lawrence River ecosystem. A priority is the attainment and maintenance of high water quality throughout the basin and emphasis on conservation and pollution prevention. Decision-making should include public education and input and intergovernmental participation in planning. League of Women Voters Michigan recognizes that land is a finite resource, not just a commodity, and believes that land ownership, whether public or private, implies responsibility of stewardship. League of Women Voters Michigan supports reduction of exposure to pesticides, the use of non-toxic alternatives, regulation of the use of pesticides by all levels of government, and public notice of pesticide use. League of Women Voters Michigan supports measures to solve the problem of solid waste disposal, including state cooperation with local and federal bodies, primary responsibility by local government, and mandatory reuse and recycling technology. League of Women Voters Michigan supports adequate regulation and inspection of facilities and the public's right to know of environmental risks. The League has positions on many social policies within the state, such as the Children and Youth Policy. The League of Women Voters Michigan supports a system of comprehensive and coordinated services for all children and families to provide holistic resources for an adequate quality of life, policies and programs staffed with well-trained and sufficient personnel to provide preventative, protective, and rehabilitation services for all children and families, individualized justice for children within the framework of due process of law, and adequate and coordinated court services. The League of Women Voters Michigan also supports the development of a publicly financed public education system in which there is an equal opportunity for an excellent education available to all children in Michigan and an educational structure that provides transparency and accountability at all levels and in all venues. The League of Women Voters Michigan supports a basic level of quality health care at an affordable cost available to all U.S. residents, equitable distribution of services, efficient and economical delivery of care, and a reasonable total national expenditure level for health care. The League of Women Voters Michigan supports a system of services which 1. Provides sufficient income assistance to assure decent, adequate standards for food, clothing, and shelter for people unable to work or for whom jobs are not available or whose earnings are inadequate. And 2. To establish adequate financial incentives and opportunities for realistic job training and counseling. League of Women Voters Michigan also supports the basic and stable funding for public libraries to ensure basic services to all state residents. Sources include penal fines, state aid, and local taxes. Organizations of public libraries should be uniform with self-governing library boards with financial autonomy, the establishment of minimum standards, and cooperation with other libraries. The League of Women Voters Michigan supports legislation and publicly funded programs and services that address the ongoing challenges faced by agricultural employers to recruit and retain viable, skilled migrant workers. It is a quality of life issue for workers and their families that draw workers in a competitive labor market. Quality of life is enhanced by safe, healthy, affordable housing, education, healthcare, fair treatment by law enforcement, and other services provided by the state and local government offices and agencies. The League of Women Voters Michigan supports a criminal justice system that is just, effective, equitable, transparent, and that fosters public trust at all stages, including policing practices, pretrial procedures, sentencing and incarceration, and reentry. We support the elimination of systemic bias, including the disproportionate policing and incarceration of marginalized communities, and policing practices that promote safety for both law enforcement officers and the communities they serve. League of Women Voters Michigan supports a cost-effective prison system that reduces recidivism and utilizes alternatives to incarceration, reduces emphasis on prison construction, and provides supportive rehabilitative services. The League of Women Voters Jackson area supports all the state positions discussed, and we hold the following local positions. The League of Women Voters Jackson supports programs and policies to prevent or reduce poverty and to promote self-sufficiency for individuals and families. The Jackson Area League of Women Voters adopted the resolution to declare racism as a public health crisis in 2020 by the United States League of Women Voters. The League of Women Voters of the United States mourns those who have lost their lives or been harmed mentally and physically as a result of America's pervasive culture of anti-Blackness and believes the system of oppression that had perpetuated the myth of white supremacy in our country must be dismantled if we are ever to become the nation we pledge to be, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. To learn more about this resolution, you can view this on the Jackson Area League of Women Voters website, linked in the comments. You can learn more about all the positions of the Jackson Area League of Women Voters and the League of Women Voters of Michigan through the links in the comments. Thank you for watching this educational module. Be sure to check out the Jackson Area League of Women Voters website or YouTube page for more.